Hey everybody, welcome back to Mompreneurs Unleashed. I'm your host, RaQuita Weathers, and today I have the phenomenal, breathtaking Miss Lisa Wilder-Baker here with me. So Lisa is oh my gosh, there's so many things that we're about to get to, but I'm calling her here today as a documentary style family photographer. But Lisa, you do a lot of things, right?
I do too many things.
Tell the people not going to say who is Lisa because we're going to get into that.
We'll be here.
What does Lisa do?
Lisa does a lot of things. I would say probably the easiest thing is that Lisa's a creative, but that because then I go into my list of careers and it's like, wow, you're doing the most. So I work for a global nonprofit. I'm a family photographer specializing in documentary, and I sing in a band with my sister. So, and I'm a mum and a wife and, all those things as well. So yeah, any given day I'm doing any of those activities. It's usually, fundraising by day, singing and editing and shooting by night.
All the things.
Well,
first of all, I think a lot of us wonder, like, balancing just the regular things. I can only imagine adding singing and nonprofiting and like all the things on top of this. Oh, girl.
Yeah. So, and I love them all. So every time someone's like, so are you going to do this full time? I'm like, I do all of them full time. Like, I don't think you understand. It's all the time, all the things.
And I'm going to jump in with some questions here because I'm curious as how do you manage, I want to say all the things because it is all the things, but we'll start with, you have a day job, right? Where you're doing fundraising.
Yeah.
So that's your Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, right? But you're also taking pictures in the evening sometimes.
And the weekends.
Singing, right? And then, you have 2 toddlers under 5. So please tell me, how in the heck do you manage? And a husband on top of that.
Yes,
right?
And a husband. We'll give him props, first of all, because he also has to put up with all of the things. I would say the first is probably lack of sleep. Don't recommend it, people. No, but honestly, I don't know where the hours in the day come from. But I think because I'm passionate about all of those areas, there's just ways to fit them all in and not be overwhelmed. So, there's times when photography is really top of the list and I'm just busting at the seams. There's times when I have to let that be kind of over here because I'm performing a lot or recording in the studio, or I'm traveling for work, raising money for a global nonprofit. So I just have to, I don't want to say compartmentalize, but almost I have to give everything its space in its time and be able to give myself fully to whatever activity I'm doing in that day, and not worry about the other things because otherwise it could get overwhelming. But I think because I find real joy in each one, if I'm photographing a family, I'm here photographing you. And for this hour, 2, 3 hours, this is where I'm at and this is where I'm being creative. If I'm singing, this is where I'm at, this is where I'm being creative. And in my development role, I'm being creative and I'm giving to obviously be able to give back to people. And that just feels good. So it probably helps that my regular day job is not like a stressful numbers crunching, like beat the pavement. It's more of a feel good passion. I don't know is the answer.
But I love it because for one, everything that you're doing, it feels good. It's one thing to be in a job and it feels like a job, right? Something that you're dreading to go to every day where I can't wait to get to this other thing that I'm doing.
Exactly.
So first off, that's just a blessing in its own just to be able to go to work and do something that you truly enjoy.
And I use my photography in my regular job. So like I travel to El Salvador, I get to go to the places where we're serving people and my day job uses my photography skills and be like, hey, we need marketing material. So I get to go out and also put that lens on and tell the story of the people that we're serving or the work that we're doing. So they all kind of touch each other in a way. So
which would you say contributed more to documentary style photography? Did you start that before you were doing it at your job or was that something where they asked you to do and you're like, I like this, but let me keep doing it?
No, it was before. So I would say my passion for documentary photography was completely separate from work. And then I was afforded the opportunity to see that bleed into work, because obviously in the nonprofit world, you're telling that we have to tell the story of the people we're helping so that other people will come alongside to help them. So then it was like, oh, well, I think like that in my work outside of here. But yeah, no, it's definitely the other way around. So now I look through that lens all the time.
So, okay, now I have a good question.
Okay.
First of all, a lot of people probably don't even know what documentary style photography is. Like, we talked about it just for a few minutes, but the average person usually doesn't know. They usually think, I just need a portrait session. Right. I just want a photo shoot. Actually, most people don't even know what kind of shoot they want. They just know, I need some new pictures. I haven't took a photo with my kids or my husband. We haven't done this since we've been married.
And we're all going to get dressed.
I just need a photographer, right? So, contrary to belief, if you're doing a regular portrait session, that's where you may go on location or in a studio, and you're going to have a photo shoot with a photographer. It's a fixed environment, right?
Absolutely.
But documentary is the complete opposite of that.
Correct.
So, tell the people, what exactly is it that you do?
So documentary typically takes place in your home, although it doesn't have to. It can be as simple as, hey, we're going to be out and about running errands today. Lisa, I want you to follow us. And I am literally a fly on the wall. And my job is to tell the story of your family, to capture like really beautiful images, but to do it without interrupting or do it without directing you on how to pose. This is going to be pictures that you look back on and they tell the story of your family. They are a motive of the relationship. So I'm going to catch those little moments where you're brushing your daughter's hair away, or you're having a stern moment, disciplining, and maybe a tear is falling, and then you're comforting your child. Or I'm going to catch that passing kiss from your husband, or the busy hands while you're baking. The details that later on, those are the things we forget about, right? Like we forget what our kids' hands look like. We forget what our grandmother's hand looked like, or what our hand looked like in hers, but not in a like, okay, now everyone put your hands together. But like, no, we were rolling the rolling pin together, or we were walking down the street. And there's something about the way our expressions are when we're not looking for the camera. There's a completely different one. When people come in to photograph with us for a headshot and they give us their best practiced smile, but then when you catch them in the middle of a real laugh, that's actually the shot that looked way better. Every time. So imagine a session that's just full of that. The first 20 minutes, 30 minutes, especially with kids, can be kind of like getting used to me being in the midst. But it's really common that after a while, everyone forgets that I'm there. They fall into what they're doing, and I'm just there to tell the story. So I'm constantly looking for the angles and the things. I mean, I'm going to be behind the door. I'm going to be on the floor in the hallway watching the kids run up and down. And it's just, like it sounds, it's a documentary of a day in the life of your family, or maybe just an hour or two. Most of my sessions are come in for 2 hours. We're going to cook a meal together. We're going to do our bedtime routine together, or we're going to be out in the backyard doing the things that we do. And I do like to plan some sort of activity. Like, what will you guys be doing? I obviously don't want to just take pictures of you watching TV. But the idea is to capture your life, to capture the relationships in a way that tells a story.
Right.
So I hope that gives a good...
I can't wait. First off, I can't wait to do this with my family.
Yes.
Because I know we talked about this before and we ended up doing a whole other type of shoot. But I still want to have this, especially... It's great to have, like you said, when you have other family, especially like...
generationally.
Like grandmothers in the house, just being able to show those interactions.
Absolutely.
Times that we really don't get back, or... And it's one thing you have your phone and you capture a photo or something, but then guess what? You're not in any of them.
You're not in them.
And there's so many times I've heard a mom say, or I've asked, hey, can you send me a photo of you? Send me a photo
Don't mention any names.
Just a photo of you with the kids, right? And then she's like, I don't have any.
So true. It's so true. I'm guilty as well. And it's so important for us to be in those pictures with our kids. I am also, like my mum, I grew up in the 80s. There's not a ton of pictures of me and my mum either. Like, definitely not candid, maybe a few of me sitting on her lap here and there. But most of the time, the mums and the kids don't get photographed candidly.
Right. Yeah.
By friends and family. Sure, if you say, hey, we take a picture of me and you put your kid in the lap and say cheese, and it's usually really unflattering. Your husband usually took it and he's like, and you know, what's this down here? But, you know, we don't get those beautiful pictures of us and our kids that later on when we're gone, they look back and say, that was my mom, and look how she held me. Look how she looked at me. Look, you know, like that's something that you can't always capture if someone's not looking for that. Right. And that's the difference. I'm behind my lens looking to catch very specifically those interactions. I want you to be endearing, or I want to catch that like smart aleck look that your kid just threw at you. And I'm there ready to catch it. And yeah, those are your memories. Those are your memories. They fade. Yeah. And to your point earlier, generationally, my very first documentary session is where I got the bug. So I had seen some documentary pictures online. I was like, oh, that looks really good. So I had a model family. It was 4 generations. It was grandma, great-grandma, grandma, daughter, and her 3 daughters. And they did a Christmas cookie baking session. Yeah. And I was there, and it was the most beautiful, to date even, it's still my favorite session. And they just, luckily they knew me, so it was easier for them to just be like, oh, Lisa, you know, but as a result, we got some of the most magical interactions. And grandma had suffered a stroke many years ago and is not that verbal. And the youngest grandchild is 3. And truthfully, by the time youngest grandchild is a teenager, great grandma probably won't be here. Yeah. But now they have these pictures that it's not just me and that's my great grandma, but this is how we were baking together. Look at these interactions. It is almost, you know, it's incredible. I get emotional just thinking about that family and the 4 women, or the 4 generations of women having this time together. And they had a blast. I mean, they were like genuinely flowers everywhere. They're rolling the cookies. The kids are loving each other, fighting each other. Grandma's in there and and it was so beautiful. And that's the day I said, oh, this is what I want to do. I want to take these kind of pictures. Did you, after that moment, right? You had this amazing session, something new. Yeah. Where did you get the idea? Well, not the idea, but to master your craft. So in order to become an expert at what you do, right? Did you like get some type of training, or did you just say, hey, completely self-taught in everything that you've learned? How would you describe yourself? Were you more self-taught, or did you actually like seek out guidance in documentary photography before saying this is what I want to do? It was both. So I was still doing and I still do lifestyle, regular family portrait photography. But even when I was doing like in-home newborn sessions, I still found myself leaning towards telling the story. Yeah. Like I naturally would just keep leaning that way with the way I was shooting, the angles I was getting. And I think being a songwriter, I'm a storyteller at heart. I love to talk. Talk for England. But I love a story. I love a good story. And so I love it verbally, but I also love it visually. And so that came actually pretty easy. I think that's why it became my niche, because I was just really drawn to it. That said, I did seek out other because I was like, is this a thing? Yeah. Because I also didn't know about it. I mean, I come across clients all the time that are like, what is that? What do you mean? And I'll be like, trying to explain to them why it's so important to invest in this kind of session. But I had to do a bit of research and see who else was doing it and how were they doing it. And I did take one online class where another family documentary photographer just talked about her flow and what she looks for and how she interacts with families, and just picked up some tips and tricks from her. Some stuff I was like, yeah, I do that too. And some stuff I was like, oh yeah, that's a good look. Or some things I don't want to do that. But it was important to me to just seek out who else was doing it in the field. How were they doing it? You know, who leans towards shooting in black and white versus color? That's also a choice. And it does lend a different feeling to the pictures. Oh, for sure. So yeah, so that even that, like, oh, do I want to do a mixture? Do I offer both to my families? Do I make the creative decision? This shot just looks like it should be black and white.
Yes.
And deliver it in black and white. Or do I say this session just lend it to a black and white session? Do I, like, then you start asking yourself, do I ask the client, do you want these in color or do you want them in black and white? Or do I just make the creative decision based on the mood, the feeling, the emotions of that picture? Because that tells a story too. The color tells a story.
It does. It's funny. Speaking of, so Lisa is actually one of the moms in the Moms in Focus book, right? So, and it's funny, one of your images, one of my favorite images from this series is a black and white portrait of you and your children. And there's some color ones, which I love the ones in color too, but there's this one black and white image that I captured, which I think I don't know if you have the color version of the black and white hanging up at home.
We have the color.
One.
Yes. The color.
But the black and white with your family, because we shot it on a black background. They were wearing all black. But usually you think all this all black is going to be like too much. But it was
we talked about it before. I was like, I think I'm going to wear black.
And it came out perfect.
It did.
It absolutely is perfect. So I can't wait for you guys to actually see those portraits that we took for this project. So I'm so happy we talked about the black and white side of things because you can see it in color, which is great. Especially most portrait photography, you tend to see in color.
Absolutely.
But when you get to see those few in between black and white ones, they are just so much more, I'm not going to say dramatic, but they are so much more impactful.
Yeah. You look at something different.
Yes.
I feel like black and white photos of people cause you to look at their faces. I don't know what it is, but it's like I'm drawn to the eyes. I'm drawn, and I think taking away the distraction of color, which is beautiful and vibrant and allows your eyes to look everywhere. I want to look at the background. I want to look at their outfits. I want to look. But you take away color and you're forced to look at the subject's face.
Yes. Oh, that's a great way to explain it. I love that.
Yeah. Just thought of it.
Okay, so I actually want to pivot for a second, but outside of photography, you also mentioned that you sing, right? And in the midst of working on this Moms in Focus project, I was working with Keisha, and Keisha was like, you do know who her dad is, right? And I was like, excuse me? And then she was like, always and forever. What do you mean? And so, tell me how, first off, I know that's how you probably got into singing, but tell me a little bit more about your background and then more about your singing journey too.
Yeah. I don't talk about it a ton, but I'm always happy to talk about it because my dad was the greatest. He passed away 7 years ago, and I'm super proud to say that he was my dad. And my mum and dad, I have amazing parents, but my dad and his brother were the lead singers of the group Heatwave, which the young people will be like, who? But they might know Always and Forever, Boogie Nights, Groove Line. They had a ton of hits, and lots of their songs are in movies and stuff like that. But that was my dad. And I grew up on the side of the stage and going to concerts and being on stage with my dad. Later on, my sister and I sang background for a lot of Heatwave shows. Wow. And he was such a big supporter of us pursuing music, obviously.
Yes.
We are a singing family. My mum's a singer-songwriter. Obviously, I sing with my sister. My brother's a professional dancer. My mum's sisters sing. We're just like a family of singers. Karaoke is strong in our family. But
you guys are very talented.
We're just we're like a creative family. But I'm proud of it. I'm like, I get excited to brag on my family and, the love, but we create together. We sing together, we dance together, we have a good time. I mean, cousins, you name it, like it's a whole thing. But for my dad, I'm really proud to say that I'm his daughter.
I can only imagine. Do you guys have family reunions? Because I can only imagine what that would look like when everybody gets together.
It's actually just usually Christmas and Thanksgiving, and the mics come out and everyone's singing and dancing. I'm looking at Hudson and Willow like, what are you guys going to be doing?
Well, have either of them, that's Hudson and Willow, those are the kids. Now, have either of them kind of shown signs of like, I like to sing, or
Hudson has a lovely voice. He's got pitch perfect. Yeah, he's got a gorgeous voice at 4 years old, and he has since he was a really tiny baby. I'm not sure about Willow yet, but she does like to dance.
Willow is the one, she's going to have her own show. I could see it. I could see that right now. And who's going to be producing it?
Me, yeah. We're already getting her behind the camera. She's like, hi guys, I'm going to cook. Oh, she's 3-year-old influencer. Right
I think it was around the holidays. You did a whole vlog of Willow baking.
Yes.
With her, was that her?
My niece.
Yes.
Her cousin.
Oh my goodness.
17.
That girl's made for TV.
Hi guys, I'm Willow. And she's like, today we're making cookies. And like, oh
It
my
is so
goodness.
funny.
Yeah.
First of all, this has been an amazing conversation.
Yes.
Before we wrap up, I like this little segment that I have. It's like a rapid fire of questions.
Oh God. Okay.
So it's like a this or that situation.
All right.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you, and you don't have to really elaborate. Some I may ask you, but first off, this question here is a little bit, because you are born from out of the States.
I am not an American, yeah.
Well, I know you're not an American,
well,
but
I kind of am, because I'm here and I've been here for years.
Yeah. So if you were to choose your favorite, how do you like? You like stateside or London?
In this current climate?
That was such a tough question.
Or very easy. No, I've honestly lived like half my life in both places, and I do think of home as where your family is. Yeah. And I have family in both places, but there's pros and cons to both. Sure. I think right now I would choose England.
I think a lot of us would, but okay.
Right now I would choose England. But, England has troubles of its own as well. So nowhere is perfect, but it will always be home. Yes. I love my beans on toast. I love a good cup of tea.
Beans on toast.
Beans on toast. We'll talk about it later.
All right. I will talk about that on lunch one day. Yeah. I've never heard of that.
Oh.
Like real beans?
I'm going to put you on. Like but it's not like American beans. They're not like with barbecue sauce. They're more tomato based. It's a thing. Beans on toast.
We'll table that one. Okay. Yes. Okay. So the rest of these are fun. That was like one I just want to get a vibe from you. But okay. So these next ones. Oh, coffee or tea?
Oh, tea. 100%.
Tea?
Always.
Oh, that sounds duh.
All day, every day.
That definitely.
A nice cup of tea. A bit of milk, sugar.
Oh. Yeah. Okay. So are you more into, I know because you do both of these things and you do them very well. Okay. Singing or photography?
Ooh.
You can be in the middle. It's okay.
I'm 100% in the middle. Yeah. I don't know at this stage in life that I could pick one over the other. Maybe photography, but like I would be singing as I took pictures.
Okay, that was a good one. So as we wrap up, I would love for you to share how our audience can connect with you and get to see you in the show, how they can book your photography. Like, how can they connect with Lisa?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, photography, we're going to go to www.wildershots.com. That's how to find me, Wilder Shots. I'm also on Instagram at Wilder_shots_. So those are the two best ways to find me. And I'm on Facebook as well, same name. And then for band stuff, I'm at twistedroyalty.com. But you can more likely find us on Spotify and iTunes. We have Always and Forever. We just released an acoustic cover of that song. So
I'm going to have to go check this one out.
It's on there now. But wildershots.com to find me. All my contact info is there. And I'd be thrilled to take some documentary pictures of you all.
Absolutely. So again, if you're ever looking to try documentary style photography, you must contact Lisa. She is your go-to, especially if you're here in Atlanta. But you don't have to be in Atlanta because she travels.
I do. I was just in St. Louis doing a photography family documentary. So so
at least she travels. Book her.
Thank you.
Also you can catch Lisa, as I mentioned, in the Moms in Focus coffee table book, which is launching very soon. And if you're watching this later, you can still purchase the book at momsinfocusprojects.com. Okay, thank you guys for tuning in today. And until next time, thank you.